This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Good morning, everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Bruchim Abam. We're continuing in Mishnah Berurah Daf HaShavua and the Mishnas Sofrim. Today we have the zchus to learn the letter Ayin and Pei. Why Ayin and Pei? Because in Eretz Yisrael they're learning Parsha Shlach, and if you look in Eicha, in some prakim, you have Pei before the Ayin, because they spoke with their mouth what they didn't see with their eye. So to be masaking that, we're learning it Keseder this week. We're being masaking for the Bnei Eretz Yisrael who are learning Parsha Shlach for the Ched HaMeraglim. So if you do the Ayin before the Pei, it's a tikkun for the Ched HaMeraglim. Okay.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Yeah. So last week we did Nun for the Bnei Eretz Yisrael who had the upside down Nuns in the Behaloischa. The Mishnah Berurah cycle is more kavua based on the Bnei Eretz Yisrael. We weren't able to reconcile both, so we decided to go with the Bnei Eretz Yisrael. Okay. So Ayin, Ois Ayin. Let's get up the Maramakoimais. Oh no, actually, but first we're gonna do the Samach. Okay, we're gonna start with the Samach. So Ois Samach. Ois Samach. We're gonna start with diagram number 5. Make it a little bigger here. Ois Samach. Tia gaga lamala aruka. Dahainu shete gaga shava lechatchila. It should be a little bit long, which means that it should be equal. Equal means it should be leveled. It should be straight. Ulamata mashava katzar. On the bottom, it should be short. So long means two things. Long means longer than the bottom, which is the base, which is short, and it also means straight. Long also means it's not curved. So it really means three things. A, it's long. Kipshutai, it's long. It's long. Number 2, it's straight, and it's longer than the bottom. And now straight means two things also. It means it's not diagonal, and it also means it's not rounded. Okay. Ulamata Moshe Katz, on the bottom of the base is short. Kitzrich Elias Agula Migimel Zav Yaseh. It needs to be rounded on 3 sides. Okay, 3 sides means like this. Side, the bottom 2 sides, top right, and the top left is straight. Okay? Dahenu lamalo mitzad yamin, above on the right side, lamata mishnei tzad, and below on both sides. V'yista mosel gamri, it should be completely sealed up. V'gaga lamalo yia l'chadchila oiver l'chutz l'tzad small, and the roof on top, l'chadchila, it should pass to the left side, kishir gag havav, like the shear of a vav. Now, what does that mean? It should be like a vav. It means like this. Let's see if we could. This, basically, a samach, interestingly, is like a chaf and a vav. You see? Basically a chaf and a vav that they fuse together. So here, you see the samach? So on top, the roof should be aruch, that it should pass over to the left side, like the length of a kashir gag havav, like the shear of the roof of a vav. Okay. Ois ayin. Ois ayin. We go to diagram number 9. Ois ayin yia ois rishayin ke'en yod. Its first segment should be like a yod. Upanek tas kape mala, facing a bit upward, like in diagram 9. Okay, you see diagram 9, it's a bit upward. Its body should be drawn beneath it, standing a bit. Let's see if they have a diagram of that, what that means. Here, number 11. It's not mamish like a diagonal, but it's somewhat standing. Not sure why they interpret mashuch tachta b'amida ktsas as if it's like, instead of a straight diagonal line, I guess the way they're understanding that it's on a diagonal, but then it, instead of it continues diagonal, it sort of stands up straighter a little bit. Because if you're gonna make it very diagonal, you won't be able to put another letter next to it. You see, let's say you want to put a final pay next to the ayin, there's going to be a big gap in between. im yizdamin. Uva tia zayin oimedes b'shava. And on it, interestingly, look in diagram 11, there's a zayin perched on top of it, straight up tall. V'noigas b'recha touches its bottom leg. Lamata mechatzia. Lower down than the halfway point. So the zayin is connected to the to the leg of the ayin below its halfway point. V'yasa ala roish hazayin gimel tagen. You're going to make on the head of the zayin 3 tagen. And v'ayin la'el b'soif ois aleph. Look earlier at the end of ois aleph le'inyan imnagai harishayin yoiser mimakam dibukam. Look earlier at the end of ois aleph regarding if harashin yoiser mimakam dibukan. We've had this a number of times. If the head of a letter touches the body of the letter more than just a connected point. Look in 16, okay? Or in the 2 diagrams in 16. If this head, which is like a yud, is touching the body, the urecha, with more than just the head, but more than, just the dibuk, but it's one big blot, one big chefza, or let's say the zayin, it's not just connected b'makam dibukan, the thin stand, but if it's a big blot. You have to be very careful that the 2 heads don't touch each other, like in 17. But the if they touch each other, like a hair's breadth, mahani greira, whether scraping will help. Ayin lekaman b'soif ois shin mashukasam l'sham. Look later on the end of the ois shin what we wrote over there. Okay. Tzuras ois pei kefufah. The image of the letter pei, the bent pay, okay, as opposed to the pay pshuta. Here we go. You ready for the pay? Today's payday. Everybody's favorite day is payday. Okay, so here we go. Here's the. I'm gonna let the cat out of the bag right away, because otherwise, to follow every detail in the beginning without knowing where it's headed, it's a little bit difficult. But once you know what the goal is like this. You ready, everyone? You look at the pay. You have like these optical illusions. You look at the picture and you see one thing, but if you look closely, you see a completely different image. It's the same thing with the pay. You look at the pay, you see a pay, and they're like these unusual diagonals on the interior. But then when you that the interior is a base, okay, that's the key. The key to the pay is the interior is a base. So now that's what all those. I was looking at first, the pay, what's that like diagonal line coming out from the interior of the middle? But then you realize there's supposed to be, the pay is a base on the interior, then everything follows, okay? So that's the secret of the pay. Ois pay kefufah. Tzarech lios l'chachila mala b'tzad yamin zavis mi b'fnim. L'chachila, you want to have on the right side a corner on the interior, okay? So that's 1 aleph. You have a corner over here. And you want a corner on the top right, that's beis. Okay, so in diagram 1, you want to have a corner on the interior aleph and a corner on the exterior corner, that's beis. You want it to be a little bit drawn behind it. That's very simple. When you see the picture. Picture 2, it's a bit rounded on the exterior of the pay. See that? It's a bit rounded, it's not straight. Shatia agula mibachatz should be slightly circular on the outside. V'chein lamata tia agula mibachatz. Also below, okay, look at the bottom of the pay. It's rounded on the bottom. Like every letter which is kafuf. Kafuf again means, as opposed to the final letters, like a mem. A mem should be a little bit rounded on the bottom, or a nun should be a little bit rounded on the bottom, or a tzadi, or a pei, or a final, or a chaf. So all the menatzbach letters, which are kafuf, as opposed to the straight ones, the end of letters, they should be rounded a bit on the bottom. Avo mi befnim yela zavis. On the interior, it should have a corner. Okay, so again, diagram 3 is the kafuf letters being rounded on the bottom, but on the interior, that's diagram 4, it should have a corner where aleph is. Why? Kidei sheyehei Beloiven shebepnim. You know, when I was preparing this, I was reading the word loiven as the heart, but it means the white. Beloiven shebepnim. That the white, meaning the interior of the letter, should be a Tzuras beis, right? So the letter is the black, and the eish chayra al gabe eish levana. The white should show a letter beis, right? Everybody see the beautiful beis on the inside of the pay? I'm sure they're great. One day we should be zeicha to have a shiur on why there's a beis inside a pay. That would be a good one. Hashem he spoke, he said, who Amar Vayeh, what did he say? He said, Bereshis. Okay, anyway, but there should be a beis on the interior. V'tia rechava kulmus v'chatzi. It should be a kulmus and a half wide, which means, one second, that's diagram 5. Okay, let's go to diagram 5. What does that mean? Everybody see this interior beis. Okay, we're in diagram 5. It should be a pen and a half wide, in order to suspend this dot. Okay, this is the nekuda shebafnim, so that it doesn't touch the ois itself. So it doesn't touch the ois itself. Now, in the picture, in the Pe'er Halacha, he brings that the Kesef HaSofer, who's the Baal Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, he says that the minhag of Sofrim is to make it 2 kulmasim. So in picture 5, in this diagram, I'm not sure what he means, a kulmas and a half. I believe he means from the interior should be a kulmas and a half tall, and the Sofrim, in order to make sure that the ois pinim doesn't touch the gufa ois, they make it 2 kulmasim. Haga v'loy kamashinago is a certain lasses akev mi bachutz betzida kazeh. Not like some Sofrim do. They make a heel on the outside on its side like this. Okay, like in diagram 6. Now this looks like I don't know, Tetris. This pay, but they make like this heel on the outside. Some Sofrim do that. Why do they do that? And they say shazel lahitiv abeis, because this looks like a nicer beis. Abeis lavan mi b'fnim, a nicer white beis on the inside. Ki mamish ois shavar. The problem is it's a broken letter, because the back of the pay is broken. It's like he's a hunchback. The pay. We already said it has to be rounded on the outside. Only on the interior there should be a beis. But there's no element of beis on the exterior. You know why Sofrim do this? They don't know how to hold the pen on an angle. So because they don't know how to hold the pen on the angle, and to draw a little bit from behind the pen from within, that by doing so they're able to make a corner on the inside. You see, if you knew how to hold the pen on an angle, then you can make this corner here easily. But if you don't know how to hold the pen on the angle, then the only way to do it is they do it from the outside. Apparently, if you don't know how to hold the pen on an angle, then the only way you could get this corner is if you extend the bottom of the letter out. But if they knew how to hold the pen on the angle, they would be able to produce this corner from within. Gam b'mashinaga lichta meshucha misof gaga ma'at. Also, in their custom to make drawn from the edge of the roof a little bit. Here, look, here's what else they do. Instead of making the nekuda katana from the edge of the roof, they make it from the middle of the roof. They make the nekuda on a corner, v'lai agula. Here, they make it straight, and they don't make it rounded. Hemakalkan havav legamri. They mess up the upside down vav. You see how the nekuda katana is basically an upside down vav. Ad kan l'shayna Sefer Ksiva Tama Bekitzer Le'inyanenu. Now, if some of you have the Dirshu, I'm going to need help with Rashi Tevis. Okay, I know it's a little bit late. I would like to finish the pay. Okay, so we're going overtime. Whenever you go overtime, you get extra pay. So here we go. Uva MS mi she'eno yodea lasses kamasha kasav aksiva tama. If you don't know how to do this, because to make an authentic pay, you have to know how to hold the pen on an angle to produce the corner from the interior instead of going out to create a corner. Then yoiser tavlasses beis mivnim b'layakid. You know what? You're better off if you don't know how to write well. Make the interior base without that heel, without this heel. You know why? Rak bezav just with a corner. Mimashiyasa pay shavar mivachutz, then to make the broken pay from the outside. Why? Ki afilu betmunas habeis gufa. Even the image of the actual base, ha'akev loy liikuvahu klal. The heel is not ma'akev at all. Meaning, even in a regular base, it's not ma'akev to have a heel. V'kol came bezeshel and niskar akev klal be beis shin. What's beis shin?
Baruch Shamar.
Baruch Shamar? Okay, thank you. It's not mentioned at all in the Sefer Baruch Shamar. That's a Risha and that talks about the Tzuras. It doesn't say at all there should be an akev. So even, in other words, even the base itself, when you make a stam base, a black base, it's not clear there has to be an akev. So certainly over here, where it's more maybe of a pisoid or whatever the basis is, it's not clear there has to be an akev at all. Don't make the pei shavar like in diagram 6 in order to get the akev of a base. Okay. 8, diagram 8. You want to have a little bit of a thorn on the top left side. And it should descend to the nakuda within. So from the ukatz, it should descend to the nakuda within. V'tia nakuda tliyaba, and the nakuda should be suspended in it. Ki hanakuda umeshach uktzayeh between vav kishehafech hapei. So it's interesting. What is a pei? A pei has a base on the inside. It has an upside down vav hanging on it. Umehai taima. Tia hanakuda lamata letzad smal agula kitzunas rosh havar. This upside down vav, you want it to be rounded the way a vav is supposed to be. This nakuda should not touch anything on the inside. It should not touch the top. It should not touch the side. It should not touch the bottom. Then naga psula. Gam yizahar, you also have to be careful. You don't want to have the vav facing the opposite direction, like in diagram 12. Then it's a question. It sounds like if it's touching, you're finished. If it's backward, then fine. Let's say you didn't hang the vav on the ukitz. You see, the ukitz is supposed to be the beginning of the vav. Let's say you started the upside down, maybe now it's like a yud over here. Hey, this is back to our good old friend Hey, where you put the leg in the middle, where it's a little bit of a question. I remember we said over there, well, maybe you could be goyrer at the top, and we asked that's chak tuchais, and we had to come up with a chidush that it's not chak tuchais because it has the tzura of the Hey, it's just not fulfilling the detail. Fine. The im loy naga nekuda begaga. Like in diagram 4, it's not touching. The tina karape, and a tina reads it as a pay. Yesh l'sakin, you could fix it. The tikkun mile fixing helps. Afilu between the mezuzah chana b'simen lam b'sif chavei ayin sham. V'im loy asa nekuda rak kav shava. What if you only made the nekuda one line, like in diagram 15? Ayin l'el soif ois aleph. Check back by the aleph to see whether that is going to be sufficient. So that is the ois pei kefufah. Hopefully tomorrow we'll see how the shaya pei pshuta tzadi kefufah tzadi pshuta. Because if you stuck out the whole share today, then you're mamisha, tzaddik. Okay, that's the remes for tomorrow. Have a good day, everyone. Bracha v'atzlacha.
Can I ask, on yesterday's share with the Sefer Torah,
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.